Arirang Special.
케냐 하면 무엇이 떠오르시나요? 커피의 국가, 그리고 우리 국민들에게는 희망의 나라라기보다는 절망의 나라로 더 익숙한데요. 곧 박근혜 대통령의 케냐 방문이 이루어질 예정인 가운데 어떻게 하면 두 나라 간의 더 돈독한 관계를 유지할 수 있을지 모하메드 겔로 주한 케냐 대사님과 이야기 나눠봤습니다. Thanks for sharing your precious time with us.
Thank you for having me.
Alright, so I want to say hello in Kenyan. Is it Hujambo, right?
Yes, annyeonghaseyo in Kenya would be jambo.
Oh, Jumbo.
Jambo,
Jumbo,
yes,
Jumbo.
yes.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's annyeonghaseyo.
Let's start off with our first question. So President Park is visiting Kenya very soon, and we have been a very great companion for each other for more than 50 years. So how do you evaluate the relationship between the two countries?
Very strong and very unique relationship. Very strong because the two countries, President Park will be visiting Kenya from May of 31st to June 1st. She will be the second president from Korea to visit Kenya. In 1982, President Shan visited Kenya. So I believe probably we are the only country in Africa where a Korean president has, or two Korean presidents have visited. So in that regard, I would say that Kenya-Korea relation is very strong.
Yes.
Very strong again because we established diplomatic relation on February of 1964.
Wow, it's been a long time.
If you go back to history, President Park Chung was the president of Korea. And at that time in Kenya, President Jomo Kenyatta was the president.
Wow.
It is unique because 50 years later, the children of the two presidents who established diplomatic relation are now the presidents in Kenya and Korea.
Oh, wow.
So President Park Chung-hee will be meeting President Uhuru Kenyatta, and they will be celebrating over 50 years of diplomatic relation, which was established when their two fathers were actually in office.
It's amazing.
So in that regard, you can say it is also a very unique time in history for the two countries.
Yes, it is very amazing. Since it's so special, I think at the summit there are going to be some expectations for the summit. So what do you expect from this visit?
So they have a unique opportunity to move this relationship from the time when their parents established to a more comprehensive level. So I'll see some development in stronger political dialogue because of this visit of the two presidents. I hope to see strong programs discussed on economic cooperation. There is a lot of opportunity, particularly in trade and investment between the two countries.
Right.
Of course, there are a lot of areas we can cooperate in the social sector, where Korea is already working with Kenya closely in health, in education, in culture. So a lot of areas I expect we'll see a lot of progress. More importantly, of course, we would like to learn from the Korea's ICT, which you're doing very well. And
ICT.
Kenya is a major player in ICT in East Africa region. So there are a lot of room for cooperation between the two countries.
Oh, that's amazing. But even with and even without the help from other countries, Kenya's economic growth was amazing. How do you think that happened? Like, how did it grow so fast?
Well, there has been quite a lot of mixed, results. Because if you go back to history, between 1963 and 1978, we are one of the fastest growing countries in the world, growing at an average of 7%.
Right. Yeah.
If we maintained that growth, we will be where Korea is today. Between 78 up to 2002, mixed growth, but on a declining trend. By 2002, our economy had literally collapsed. But then when President Kibaki took over in 2003, we never looked back. From zero growth, in 5 years, we went to 7%. We are maintaining at about 5%, and no miracle. The truth of the matter is this was done because the new leadership that was there, President Kibaki and President Uhuru Kenyatta, have ensured that there is good governance, ensuring that the government raises revenue the way it should be, no tax evasion and all that. And this ensured that first and foremost, the government was able to get a lot of resources to work with. We have invested heavily in infrastructure, and through this, it has provided a catalytic, system to the business sector.
Right.
And therefore, the country was able to grow. Yeah.
Ah, that's amazing.
So you can say good governance.
Good government, yes. There are some similarities between Korean government and the Kenyan government, especially economic sector, because like the creative economy in Korea, there is Vision 2030 going on right, in Kenya. And I heard about the Silicon Savannah, and it's actually very amazing how all headquarters from all famous countries are companies are launching there, and I heard that it's even eco-friendly. Yes, and how is it working so far, Silicon Savannah?
Before the word Silicon Savannah was coined, what many people don't know, we were the first country to develop what is called mobile money transfer.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes, in the world.
Oh, amazing.
It's called M-Pesa. We were the first country to do that in the world. No country had ever done, which meant basically that the company that established that, Safaricom, developed an application where your phone is your bank. You put money there, and I can send you money, I can pay my bills, pay for, I go to the fuel pump and just pay it. And today, that system of transfer of money has totally revolutionized financial independence in developing countries, not in Africa alone. Majority of people in developing countries don't have banks accounts, and which means they cannot be able to transact money. So it had to be cash. So we allowed the world to discover this, and even now Korea is using mobile transfer money. So it came from us.
Oh, wow. I just used it today.
Yes, it is Kenya that started this in the world. So every country in the world is doing that. So this is where we started from. And as a result, we have ensured financial inclusion. Most of the money transaction today in Kenya is done through mobile transfer.
Are there banks still? But there are still many banks,
of course,
right?
Of course.
Okay.
We are the financial hub for Eastern Central Africa. We're the biggest financial hub. Coming back to Silicon Savannah, this was coined because we are developing a brand new city very near Nairobi, which is called Konza Technology City. Infrastructure has already been done, and we're expecting companies now to come in and begin developing. This is going to be purely a city for ICT-based technologies, including financial sectors and banking and all that. And I'm glad to say that Korea is playing an important role, because we had planned to establish a university of ICT in Konza, and the first institution that will be established there will be a Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, KAIST. You know, there's a KAIST in Korea.
Yes.
So it will be financed by Kenya, and it will be the first KAIST-type institution to be developed by Korea outside Korea, I believe. So again, you can see how development assistance of Korea is going to assist us achieve our development goals.
Yeah. Is there any specific areas that Kenyan government wants to develop?
We would want to develop in all sectors.
Right.
We would like to develop in agriculture because it's the backbone of our economy. We would like to develop in ICT because that is the areas that today innovation is talking about.
Right.
But looking at our GDP, I think one area that we can work with Korea very well is one area that we have not done very well in many years, which has not been growing, and that is in the manufacturing sector.
Manufacturing.
We have not been doing that, and one of the weaknesses of Africa is that we have not been value adding most of the products that we produce, which means therefore the manufacturing sector requires a lot of support. The good news is that we are working closely with Korea, and we have identified areas in Kenya, zones that we are going to work with Korea that probably will provide it to Korean companies to establish small and medium-sized industries. Right. And I hope using Korea's expertise, knowledge, and transfer of skills, that will help Kenya to achieve its goal in future.
Kenya is a wonderful country. It is a wonderful country, but there, since there are some like violence issues going on in Kenya, and how would like Kenyan government react to the violence issue?
But within the country, among the Kenyans themselves, there is very little violence. Once in a while, there is heated energy, some energy where the opposition would want to demonstrate, and instead of demonstrating peacefully, maybe there will be some issues. But the government is in control, and I would say there is absolutely no issue of concern as far as security within the country is concerned. Our biggest problem is security associated with terrorism. And that is probably one of the reasons why Kenya was considering to close the refugee camps, because of the fact that those refugee camps have been a haven for some of these terrorists to hide themselves.
Oh yeah, but since there is no violence issue going on, I'm pretty sure that all the Korean people who wants to go to Kenya would be very happy to hear it. Since to make the nations closer to each other, we need to bond first. And since Korean Wave is getting famous in the world, from my perspective, is there any Korean Wave in Kenya as well?
Korea is not new to Kenya.
Oh.
And if you go to Kenya, there is a Korean TV. That particularly religious one, which is really evangelical in nature. Many Korean missionaries are there. So people-to-people contacts have been there. Oh. It's through the Korean Wave. Oh. I can tell you, I was not in Korea when Psy sang his famous Gangnam song, which literally crushed the YouTube by, I don't know, over 2 billion hits, So Korean wave is there, and Kenya is tech savvy, particularly the young ones. Social media, particularly networking, but there, YouTube, they watch a lot. And you can't avoid coming across the Korean culture. So technology, particularly ICT-based technologies, has made the distance between Korea and Kenya literally collapse. So I can tell you there is so much known about Korea, not mentioning over 300 Kenyans who are students here, who share the Korean experience with their people there. For me, the Korean wave is the best thing that has happened to Korea. People now know a lot about Korea, whether it's K-pop, a lot. Korean food now is becoming a major,
Would you recommend some Korean food?
Yeah, I love Korean food.
Especially
bibimbap.
Oh.
I don't know. I have a little bit of restriction because of my faith. I don't eat a lot I have to eat halal food.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that, I went to one of the cities in the southeast where bibimbap is well known.
Oh.
I can't remember where it is, and I had one of the best bibimbap. But of course, bulgogi, you know, it's good. I love the seaweed, you know, the fried dry seaweed.
Oh, yeah.
Quite a lot, a lot, of course. Who can't fail to love kimchi? It's always in my list. It's always in my. It's my favorite.
That's good.
I love kimchi.
I'm happy to hear that.
I love kimchi.
Are there any songs, you know?
I am still weak on that, but I apart from, of course, Psy's song Gangnam Style, which the first one that I came across, and since then I've been watching quite a number. I can tell you I'm in love with Arirang, Arariu. You are one of my favorite songs here.
Yeah.
And I just love it. I can't have enough of it. I love listening to it. Absolutely.
Oh, I'm happy to. You've been to many countries. You're in China, and you were in many other countries. And there should be some good things about Korea, and there should be some negative things too. If you want to recommend Koreans to change for a development, what would it be?
I am very impressed when I came here. I have to be very honest.
Okay.
I didn't think Korean people would be very warm, and I thought they would be very conservative. When I came here, I was really, it was one of those wonderful surprises. I found people here are very modest, very hospitable, really eager to share their culture, invite you, you know. Yeah. I have worked in many countries, but I've never seen any country, honestly, I can tell you the truth, this is the only country where I found a lot of eagerness to engage you, to share about them, about their culture, about their development, talk about how poor they were and where they are today. What will I tell Koreans to change? Keep what you're doing. You have been a wonderful people. This is a country that was poor over 60 years ago, was aid recipient. Over 60 years later, you are a highly developed country. You are the first country in modern world to move from aid, receiving aid, to a donor. What can you tell such people? Please be proud of your country, maintain what you have been doing. Koreans are great people, absolutely. And more importantly, I love your culture, I love your food, and I enjoyed every bit of my stay in this country.
Thank you. You mentioned that Korean people are modest and warm-hearted, and I heard from what I know, Kenyans are very similar to that too. They are very warm-hearted. If there is any similarities and differences between the two nations and the culture, what would it be?
But I think in terms of similarity, our family values are the same. Koreans are very family oriented, you know, very close to your parents and, you know, relations, you maintain that. Absolutely, I find that very, very important. But of course, similarity is that we are all very hospitable people.
Yeah.
Very eager to welcome the foreigners, to make them feel at home. Quite some similarities, I would say, yes. And of course, again, I think between the two countries, I would say Kenya is one of the few countries in Africa where as a government, we believed in our people and we invested in education. The largest part of our budget actually goes to education. And in that, again, there is a similarity. We believe in our people is the most important resource any country can think about. So investing in our people is very important.
Yeah, it is very important. Korea has the same history of starting the New Village movement because we believed in people as well. What do you think was so important about the New Village movement?
Well, I think everybody agrees Samuel Lundong has played a very critical role in the development of Korea, to move it from rural, poor rural system that was there, moving a lot of the poor rural to become to become modern, modernize agriculture, modernize the villages. That is why Africa is still there. We need to modernize our villages. We need to modernize our agriculture, and working with Korea to adapt Samao Ludong, which has been recognized by the African Union, which has been recognized by the United Nations as one of the best models for developing countries to adapt. I think Korea is eager to use this, and I think it will play an important role in Kenya, in Uganda, it is in Tanzania, in Ethiopia, in Rwanda. In our region, Samao Ludong is being adopted, and I believe it is going to revolutionize development at the rural level. And as we move up, I'm very sure that will improve the economies of our region. More importantly, to modernize these societies so that they can play better. They can play a more effective role in economic development in our country. So we are interested to adapt Samao Ludong, and we are doing that actually. Particularly in Kenya, in the agricultural sector, there's a program for modernization of agriculture, and we're using the Samao Ludong approach.
I hope it works very well. It will.
It worked in Korea, it will work in Kenya.
Oh yes, of course. Okay. And Kenya is very famous for its good taste of coffee. And I heard that you went to Korean coffee shops.
Yes.
And how was it compared to Kenyan coffee?
No, I think so. Number one coffee here basically is Kenya.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
And I go in town here. If you have seen Kiambu coffee, right near my office here. Yeah. There's Nairobi coffee, there's Baringo coffee. All these are Kenyan names. Uhuru coffee. My president is called Uhuru.
Oh.
And there's a Uhuru coffee house near Yonsei University.
Right.
So I said, wow, these are Kenyan names and amazing. Yeah, we actually, maybe in Korea we are known for coffee, but the truth of the matter is this. We are the number one country in black tea in terms of export.
Wow,
Not
that's
India,
wow.
it's Kenya.
Oh.
Not Sri Lanka, it's Kenya. We are the biggest exporter of black tea in the world. More importantly, 38% of cut flowers in Europe, roses, carnation, come from Kenya. So if you are in London on Valentine's Day and you are given a rose, 1 out of 3 roses is Kenyan rose.
Oh.
So we are not small in some of these sectors. So like coffee, we produce world-class cut flowers, roses, and the rest. We produce very good tea, black tea. Of course, many Koreans don't take a lot of black tea, but we are very strong in agriculture. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Kenya is basically like the emperor of coffee.
Yes,
beans.
very good Kenya AA.
Yeah.
Very good coffee. Yes.
Very good coffee. So I must assume that I've never been to Kenya, but since it has a lot of good agriculture products, the view of Kenya should be very beautiful as well. So if there is any places that you want to recommend for tourists from Korea to Kenya, where would it be?
The whole of Kenya. It's an amazing country. You go to Kenya, you can't fail to fall in love with that country. From one of the most beautiful beaches, pristine beaches, white sand, you'll get in Kenya, absolutely. In the middle of the equator, which is supposed to be very hot, and is not hot for us, you find snow-capped mountains, mountains with snow. Mount Kenya is there, and across our border, you have Mount Kilimanjaro. Of course, very rich wildlife. You go to Masai Mara or some of these important national parks. Amazing. But this is a country that has a very strong history of tourism that goes over 100 years. It's not recent. The word safari originated from Kenya.
I know.
Yeah,
we need to find a
some
man first.
fantastic
Yeah.
places to go and visit. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but we have a lot. Culture, amazing.
You can
Very beautiful culture.
you can actually meet wild animals there too.
Oh, plenty. Yeah, plenty. We are the only city where the national park is attached. As you are driving around the national park and seeing the animals, you can see the city. So yes, these animals that national parks that we are protecting is for the whole world, is a world heritage. So that you can come and see a lion and see an elephant in its own natural habitat instead of in a zoo.
Oh, that's really nice of Kenya. That's really nice. Since Kenya is such a nice country, I believe that you will be very proud of it, and there should be a dream as an ambassador of Korea to, let Kenya to be more famous amongst people. Is there any other dreams?
I think my dream is if Kenya can learn from Korea, if we can follow the route that Korea has followed, from where you are in 1953 with $60 per capita income to $30,000. That is a tremendous achievement. My dream is that if we can follow the example of Korea and become what Korea has achieved, and if I can contribute as an ambassador here to help Kenya learn from Korea, I think my dream will have been achieved, because Korea has a lot to teach Kenya in terms of economic development. So really, for the years I'm going to remain here, I'll do my best to work with Korea government, with Korea businesses, with Korea people, and see how the two countries can learn from each other and assist each other.
Yes, we can learn from each other. I think
Absolutely.
that's what's important. And is there any message that you want to send to Koreans, please do so.
My message to the Korean people is this. In less than 60 years, this country achieved what no country in modern times has achieved. To move from a poor aid recipient country to a highly developed and donor country. A country today that is exporting Korea Wave, a country that is helping other developing countries to become what it is. A country that today is offering many countries some of the latest technologies, Samsung, and all that, amazing products. I think my message to the Koreans is that they should be proud of their country, to be proud of what they have achieved so far, and to do everything possible to protect what they have earned over these years, and to work as hard as their parents who made this country what it is. So for Koreans, keep up the good job and make sure that you maintain what you have been doing to make this country a very successful country.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure that a lot of Koreans will be touched by your lines. All right. Our question for you, or the interview is done. This was it. And is there any things that you want to add?
I am learning Korean language a little bit. And since we have come to the end, I will want to say 감사합니다. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you and to reach the Korean people.
Please teach me how to say 감사합니다 or thank you in Kenyan as well.
Asante sana.
Asante sala.
Yeah. Asante sana. Thank you very much.
Asante
Or you can just
sana.
say asante,
Asante.
which means 감사합니다.
Okay. Asante. All right.
감사합니다. Thank you very much.
케냐, 더 이상 우리 국민들에게 커피의 국가로 기억돼서는 안 됩니다. 무한한 잠재력을 가진 케냐, 이제 함께 동반성장할 때입니다. 시청해주신 여러분 감사합니다. Alright, thank you.
Thank you.